Hello and welcome to Happy Horror Time Podcast. My name is Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch. Today feels like our birthday because we've got one killer guest for you. She's an Emmy Award-winning actress, a soap star, an entrepreneur, and what's most important to us, she played the very memorable and homicidal student Anne in the 1981 horror film Happy Birthday to Me. So I guess you could say she's killing it in all aspects of life. Please welcome to the podcast, Tracey E. Bregman. Woo!
Thank you.
Did you love all the killer puns, Tracey, by the way?
I'm like homicidal student.
Well, look, before we dive into Happy Birthday to Me and all of that stuff, we read that you were born in Munich, Germany, and then lived in Great Britain until coming to California at age 10. So we were just wondering, what was it like growing up abroad? And did you always know you wanted to be an actress?
No, I didn't actually. I thought that I wanted to be a surgeon, a veterinary surgeon or reconstructive surgeon. And because my grandfather was a doctor, he was one of the founders of Kaiser Permanente. So on weekends or when I would visit him, I would go make rounds, and it was very Grey's Anatomy in the hospital. And my father was in the business, as was my mother. So I grew up on sets. I was always with them. I always said that I think I was born and I went to a set before I actually got back to the flat. But it was very, very interesting growing up in England because I had the English accent. I was sort of the Brit. My mother's Canadian, my father's American. And I was the one that sounded like where we were living at the time. My father was head of specials for BBC and did films there as well, produced films and specials. And my mother was on The Saint with Roger Moore.
Yeah, I was going to say your mom, Suzanne Lloyd, is an actress and your dad, Buddy Bregman, is a record producer. Right. So were they a huge influence in you wanting to get to be an actor?
Well, how it sort of came about is I never thought about acting or anything like that. And then my father was doing a pilot with this Canadian superstar named Renee Simard. And I think I was 11 or 12 at the time. Renee was like 13 or 14. And, Benny Medina, who we all know from Fresh Prince, being an extraordinary manager, producer, Carrie Gordy, a whole bunch of kids, kind of older than me, but not much, were doing this pilot. And I was holding my dad's script, which is what I did. I was always with my dad. I was always holding his script. I was always in edit bays. Sitting with the DPs, I really was fascinated by all areas of production. So I was actually really raised to produce, not really act or perform. And then I thought, maybe I might try that, and I started as a hand model for Mattel toys. So I started doing that.
I used to work for Mattel. I was work in branding and packaging and stuff, but I know about hand models. They're very important.
I wouldn't make it now, but back when I was 11, Mattel's, it was the Sunshine Family. And then all of a sudden I thought, well, maybe it might be fun to go in front of the camera. And I started this ANTA, going to the American National Academy of Theater Arts and Strasberg, and started dancing. And that's kind of when I got the bug, as it were.
That's when you found your spotlight, right?
Yeah. I'm a huge soap fan. Like anyone that knows me, I love daytime, I love nighttime. And you went to Westlake School with Mindy Cohn and from The Facts of Life. And right. She said that you left school to be to play the role of Donna on Days of Our Lives.
I did. I actually stayed in school for a while, and it just was so difficult because the role was only supposed to be a 3-day role, and it turned into 2.5 years. So none of us were expecting that. And Westlake, which is now known as Harvard Westlake, wasn't a fan of what I was doing because I needed to take all my work with me, and I had an on-school tutor for 3 hours every single day, which, by the way, thank God I was a teenager when I did it. There is absolutely no way I can handle 20 to 40 pages of dialogue and 3 hours of school and actually accomplish the day. No, there's like no way.
Oh yeah.
I mean, back then, did you like high school better or the soap?
The soap.
and wait, did Mindy finish up high school there before Facts of Life? It's a question for Tiff.
Yeah.
I think she graduated. She was able to graduate. I think it was easier for a sitcom. That's not my stomach growling. That is my dog growling at another dog outside.
And for our listeners, because they can't see, but Tracey has this adorable Chihuahua with her. What is the Chihuahua's name?
Ivy Rose.
Ivy Rose. Oh, adorable.
And what else you also can't see is she is soap star ready. You look absolutely gorgeous today.
Yes, very.
Thank you. Sorry. It's one of my barn hands dogs is just outside, and that's what's going on.
Oh
Okay.
no.
All right. Okay.
So shortly after that, you joined the cast of The Young and the Restless as Lauren Fenmore and have been on the show for 39 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Offhand, do you know how many times your character has been married?
Not that many, actually. I think I have one of the longest standing marriages. In fact, I always say to Christian LeBlanc, you are my second longest relationship. So I think I've been married twice to one guy. I think only 4 times in all those years.
That's nothing for soaps.
I mean, isn't it like Catherine Kelly
Right?
From The Bold and the Beautiful? How much? She's been married a lot.
Yeah, but I've been married like 45 times to the same guy.
Ridge Forrester.
Back, forth. I mean, luckily there was a secondary actor, so at least there's,
Yeah. Thurston.
And
Thorsten.
we had to ask.
Thorsten.
Thank you.
Throughout your 39 years on Young and the Restless, what is the wackiest storyline that they've put your character through?
Well, somewhere between being buried alive and when I've killed the same character multiple times, but she keeps resurrecting the Sheila Carter character, and then I was the doppelganger to myself. And let me tell you something. The first day I played twins, 27 scenes in a row, first up with myself. That's a first.
Oh my gosh. I mean, do you have any this is off our questions, but do you have a trick for memorizing dialogue?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those, I wish I could go, oh yeah, this is what you do. I mean, I read it over and over, but for me, it's trying to do the work of connecting what I'm saying, my intention, all of that. That really helps with my dialogue. And then right before I go on, I literally read it like I'm a first grader. And then I went to and it just sort of solidifies everything.
I wish I had that skill.
But by the way, this is a good segue into horror because being buried alive and murdering someone over and over, it sounds like Young and the Restless has its fair share of horror.
Oh yeah.
So we always ask everyone we interview this because we are obviously a horror podcast. Were you a fan of horror growing up? And even if you weren't, were there any horror movies that kind of like stuck with you or made an impact on you as a young kid?
Yeah, no, I actually don't like horror movies. And to solidify that, I was taken when I was young to see the Amityville Horror. To this day, I still see those red eyes of the pig somewhere. And I'm terrible. I don't like any tension,
That's a good one. Terrible. Usually people say The Exorcist. So yeah. I love that you said Amityville.
Yeah. I there's no way I could watch The Exorcist. Like, no way. I would be throwing up with her, no matter,
I take it you haven't seen the 17 Amityville sequels then.
Correct, including it took 3 times for me to even watch Happy Birthday to Me. And what you guys may not know is that we got it originally an X rating for gore. It was so explicit that they rated us X and they had to go back in and re-edit it. I saw the original, and then all my friends to this day still joke about the fact that I asked them to go to the premiere and they did not realize how gory it was. And I was like, you think this is gory? You should have seen the original.
I love that.
J. Lee Thompson, sorry, just to add, worked under Hitchcock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we read that. Yes.
Cape Fear.
Yeah. And also, I think it's funny because it's all relative. Like as horror enthusiasts, I'll call us. When you see the gore that was cut from films in the 80s versus the gore that's allowed in films today. And you probably don't see it because you don't watch these movies, but oh my God, like your film, even in its uncut manner, would probably be tame according to today's standards.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I can't do it.
Totally get. So, okay, so let's move on to Happy Birthday to Me. It's your feature film debut. And now, obviously, we've already spoiled the fact that after a very bizarre unmasking, your character is revealed to be the killer. But let's take it back to the very beginning. What do you remember about the audition process for the role of Anne?
It actually was unlike anything I'd ever experienced, quite frankly, because J. Lee Thompson lived in Malibu. And my mother, who's Canadian, was also up to play, I think, the role that Sharon Acker originally played, which was Melissa's mother.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we love her.
Loved her.
So she was, so they asked my mom and me to go to Malibu to meet J. Lee Thompson. And we did. And literally, I don't think we had a very long conversation at all, which would change as we worked together because he was very funny. He said to my mother, "No, I don't think that's going to work," and said to me, "Yes, you're it." I was like, "What? What?" That was it. I didn't have to read.
Wait, he just saw you and said, "You are Anne"?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Now, was your mom pissed?
I know, it was like kind of embarrassing, but no, I think she understood. But I mean, it would have been so much fun if we could have done the movie together.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And did you audition for any of the other roles or?
Yeah. Or did they just say, "No, you are Anne"?
No, he basically said, "No, you're Anne." And I'm sure, I don't know whether you know this, but my character originally died in the middle of the movie, right?
Yes, we have a couple questions about the original script, but yes. Oh,
No, that was it. And then I was 17 years old. I had never been away from home, and they packed me up and I left for Montreal for 10 weeks. And it was just Melissa Sue and myself for like the first couple weeks until the other fabulous actors from the top 10. I still have a picture of all of us in my office right here.
Oh my God. If you don't mind after this, if you happen to have a second, want to take a picture on your phone and email it to us, we would absolutely love
the Crawford top 10.
I will.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. So one really cool thing about this being your feature film debut, in the opening credits, you get an "and introducing," and that is like very coveted. Do you know how that came about? Did they just, because it was your first film?
My agent, because it was my first film, they said absolutely.
That is so cool because it gives prominence to you, because people, I don't know, I feel like it's been something that like Jamie Lee Curtis got that in Halloween, like a lot of people in their first movie, and it really stands out. So it's a cool thing, So to the original script, this is what we had wanted to know. So obviously we read that in the original script, Anne was not the killer. And I guess it was supposed to be the main protagonist of the film, Ginny, played by Melissa Sue Anderson, who was possessed by her dead mother. Is that true? Was that what was happening in the original script?
Yes.
So I guess then, in what point in production did you find out you were going to be the killer, and what was your reaction?
I believe I had actually even shot my death scene, and they were having trouble in my death scene because they put mortician's wax up your nose. My death was supposed to be in water or whatever, and I guess I bubble a lot.
How
dare you breathe in there?
Right? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm sorry, I'm bubbling, but so they literally couldn't use my actual shot. They had to make a death mask of me because I couldn't stop bubbling. No matter what they did, I could not stop bubbling. And I don't like to be in water anyway. So I was like, okay, I'm fine. So we do this very large scene where someone yells, "We found a skull." And 250 extras start running from this massive campus, the most gorgeous scenic college campus. And I mean, we're supposed to be in high school, but whatever. And we're all running to the edge of like this ravine. Now it's all of us, the top 10. So along this very, very long ravine, we all have our marks to hit, which, I mean, it's like, hey, hit that rock half a mile down. I mean, how we even got near it, I don't even know. And on top of it, you've got all these extras running. They have a jib shot coming, so there's a crane. They're following the running, then the crane goes up, right? They find the skull, they go up. Okay, action. Everybody runs. As I'm getting, now we're all facing this way, right? That's where the skull is. As I hit my mark, some extra that if I could thank this person, because at the time I wanted to throttle her, but at the time, for some reason, went look in the opposite direction, right in front of me, and hits me in the throat so hard that I start coughing, but start laughing as I hit my mark. Cut! Lee is screaming, "You ruined the shot! Oh my God, we have to go back to one." And he is so pissed at me. And I'm like, "Lee, I'm so sorry. I wasn't just laughing. Someone hit me in the throat." He didn't care. He was so mad at me. And so we do it again. Everything's fine. I guess when that night they watched the dailies, someone saw something in the fact that I laughed when I got there and my reaction. And that's the moment they changed the ending and gave me the ending.
Ooh.
Wow. Maybe you think it was like almost like a sadistic little quality or something, even though you're probably choking because you got hit.
The devil's laugh.
And I was laughing at like, what in the actual, fuck did that person do to me? But somehow I laughed about it.
That is an amazing story. And so when you found out, were you like, I'm just wondering, were you like, okay, I'm going to give you a couple things to pick from. A, like, this is the greatest thing ever. How much fun to be a killer. B, what the fuck? This is totally different than everything you've told me. Or C, huh? What was your reaction?
So our executive producer's assistant, Irene Latinsky, takes me to dinner. And at the dinner, she tells me what happened. She said, "By the way, we saw blah, blah, blah. So we've changed the ending of the movie and you're the killer." And my first reaction was, "But I just died." You just killed me off. So is that still in the movie? How? What? Huh? And she explained the whole thing to me. And I was like, wow. Okay. Because I was waiting around in Montreal just to do the end party scene where you sit around, which, by the way, I couldn't even have lunch with all the actors in their makeup. Oh, my God.
Oh,
it's a classic
scene. Yeah, we will get to that. That is an amazing, amazing scene. But that is so cool. So then after they tell you, okay, you're the killer, did you actually get to commit any of the murders in the film? Like, was that your hands during any of that, or that was someone else?
No, I didn't do any of it.
Wow.
Because,
I mean, I was looking like, is it her?
Right. No. So then, because they had done a lot of it before they decided to do that. And then what happened, we all did the ending. And I guess there was some issue with my shots. So I had to come back like a month later and do reshoots all by myself.
Ooh.
With, the effects have definitely changed over the years. But, I had to have the knife that was attached to some hard plate, which was underneath one of my shirts, with 2 tubes that went in the back, and then 2 tubs of blood with 2 guys. Now, here you're trying to do a death scene, and this is what you're hearing while they're trying to get the blood to shoot out. Does somebody have some WD-40?
Did you bring back the sadistic laugh?
Probably. Like, you got, oh my God, how am I supposed to concentrate with that? But
and what was it like working with Little House on the Prairie star Melissa Sue Anderson?
She was great. She was great. She had so much on her shoulders. You know, the whole movie was on her. Glenn Ford, that might have been his last movie. Not sure, but pretty close.
So Jenny's mother was played by Sharon Acker, and it looked like she had the best time filming her scenes.
Is she like drinking and yelling and stuff? It looked like a dream role.
Right. I wasn't there. She and I got a chance to fly together, and I can't remember whether we flew together in the beginning, which I don't think we did. They had to fly me to LA to do the death mask, which I'll never forget. It got really cold in Montreal, and I said to my mom, you know, they're sending a box from LA after I'd done my death mask. Can you put my coat? Can you give them my coat and they'll send it up? So she did. And I guess one of the FX guys said, oh yeah, Tracey's box is just over there. And they forgot that my actual death mask was in the box. And my mother opened the box to put my coat in there, and my dead head was there. I don't think she's ever recovered from that.
I was just going to say, that sounds like an awful practical joke to like.
I know, horrible.
So we were talking, or you were talking a little bit about the director of the film, J. Lee Thompson, who also directed, of course, the original Cape Fear and worked under Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah. We had read some things that he was pretty serious on set. So we were just wondering, what was his directing style like? And is it true? Because we read that he would throw like buckets of blood around to make things gorier.
Oh my God. You had to keep the blood away from Lee. But he just loved blood. And he called me crazy. I don't know. That was his nickname for me, crazy. And I'm like, I don't even know how I did that, because I'm actually a pretty, compliant girl, and I'm good at set. I don't know why all of a sudden he called me crazy, but he did. And he must have stopped smoking. I don't know how long ago. So he would like tear off strips of scripts and just rub them together. And because I think, whatever, he was trying not to smoke or whatever. I adored him. I didn't find him to anything. Like the only time he ever got upset, or I saw him get upset, is when I messed up, the one scene that turned into
but
the
icon. It wasn't your fault.
And if it weren't for that mess up, Tracey, the whole movie would have been different.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
It
would have been a possession movie. Yeah.
So can we get a shout out to that extra who elbowed you in the neck?
Exactly. If anybody knows that you did that to me. And the other thing that ended up in the movie were when Melissa and I are breaking into Leslie Donaldson's apartment. Mm-hmm. Can't remember any of the characters' names, but I know who they are. And somehow, I don't know what happened. She ended up falling in, then I ended up falling in. She literally fell through the window. It was really funny.
And were you starstruck working with classic actor Glenn Ford?
I just got the opportunity to say hello to him. There were so many of us that he was probably like, who are you?
And who did you bond with most on set? I mean, part of the Crawford top 10.
Yeah. Did you all get along?
Yeah. So Lisa Langlois and Matt Craven and I think, were the closest. I stayed in touch with Richard Riviere for a while. And what I love about Facebook is I'm connected to Leslie Donaldson, Lenore Zan, Lisa. I get a chance. I haven't seen Matt in years, but we were very, very close on set.
Did you see him in the movie Indian Summer?
I didn't.
Oh, it's very cute.
No, that's so great. We hear from a lot of people that we talk to who are in movies that were a while ago that it's like when the internet came on and there were easier ways to connect, that they've like refound a lot of the cast members that they worked with a while ago. So that's great.
I don't think Matt's on Instagram or anything because I haven't been able to find him, but I would love to say hi. He was so great.
Yeah, he was good.
So now we have to get to the scene where the Crawford top 10 decide to jump the drawbridge in their cars while it's rising or it's parting, because that's quite a scene. And we're just wondering, how long did it take to film that action sequence? And for how much of it were you driving versus, I assume they would have had stunt drivers, correct?
Well, there was a little problem with my car. I guess in Canada, everybody knows how to drive stick. Except for the Californian, who their people have tried, could not. And they're like, oh, don't worry, we can teach you. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure you can. They're like, no, no. So they had to sell the car, the original car, because I couldn't drive it. They literally, after like 25 minutes, were like, we're going to have to sell the car. We're going to have to get another car. And so they got me this other car so that I could actually drive. And then I almost took out the lighting set the first time when we were supposed to go. They forgot to tell me not to go. So I went, almost took out the lights. Yeah, so stunts aren't usually my biggest thing that I do, but and then once they saw me drive, they're like, okay, so a stunt driver will be doing most of your work.
That's awesome. You're probably like, thank God.
I'm like, woo! Yeah.
And is it true, again, things that there's all sorts of things over the internet, and some of them true, some of them not. But so we read that there was like a huge crowd watching the day that scene was filmed, and that like 15 cars were wrecked and a stunt driver was hospitalized. Do you remember any of this?
None of that. Is that true?
I mean, I don't know. Like, you know how the internet is. People can add bullshit, people can add stuff. And so that's why I wanted to ask, but it was said by people that there was a ton of people watching, all these cars were wrecked, and like a stunt driver was hospitalized. But of course, you know, that could all be bullshit.
I mean, honestly, I think I would have remembered that. My memory isn't that great, but I think I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
And I can't drive stick either. And do you have a favorite death scene?
And yeah, of all the death scenes in the movie?
You mean of all the other people's death scene? I'm not sure I've seen them all.
Oh,
Only because I can't handle it.
There's a lot of good ones. That's the thing. And especially for its time, it had a lot of inventive kills, you know, like it was and you know, that your character commits, from the weights to the scarf in the motorcycle wheel. I mean, it's some gory stuff.
yeah.
You know?
Oh, and the guy who played Etienne, who got his face, that's the only one. He's the only one that I don't think we stayed in contact with, but the rest of us have stayed in contact.
He's still holding a grudge that you threw his scarf in the motorcycle and got his face ripped apart.
I don't blame him.
Oh.
So what were like, obviously you didn't watch all the blood and special effects, but I mean, what are your overall thoughts like with how much blood there was?
And there's also a ton of dummy heads you probably were working with and stuff. Do you remember a lot of these special effects?
Here, I hate working with movie blood. It stains. It's so hard to get out, and it's sticky. So I am so not a fan of even working with it, let alone seeing it. Let's see. There was just so much blood. The joke was, keep the blood away from Lee.
That's so funny. It is so funny.
So you weren't sitting around the set like, I can't wait to see how this turns out. Or you just like, I'm filming my scenes and walking away?
This is me. I'll be in my trailer.
I love it. And it's such a great juxtaposition with like your character who's obviously committing these murders, but you're like, I don't want any part of this. So, you know, we alluded to the ending of the film because it's really pretty classic with all the dead bodies, you know, propped up around the party table. It's one of those kind of like horror cinematic images that you just never forget. And you know, the big reveal for people who have not seen is when your character Anne takes off this like latex mask of Ginny, the other character's face, and reveals that she was committing the murders all along, disguised as Ginny. So we were wondering, what were your thoughts when you discovered, or when they talked to you about the ending and that you'd be like taking off this mask and being a half sister? Did you feel like it was believable, or just kind of like a last minute trick by the writers?
No, I mean, I think as a new actress, this was her first movie. I was so excited to be the killer and to have that whole ending. Little backstory on the mask: when we went to do the reshoots, they forgot the correct glue. So whatever glue they used, it literally took my skin off. The fact that I'm not scarred is huge, because I had like scabs all the way around my face.
Wow.
Really? From ripping it off and that?
Yeah, they didn't use the right glue.
Oh my gosh. And you're a soap star. You need your face.
I know. Hey.
And so after all the filming is done, and what was your first impression? Like, was there a red carpet premiere when you saw yourself on the 35 millimeter screen?
No, there wasn't like a big premiere. I just brought a whole bunch of people to Westwood, in California, and I tried to fill the theater with my friends.
That's a beautiful theater.
Yeah. Wait. So no casting crew screening or anything where the whole production watched it together?
No.
Oh.
Wow. So the first time you saw was...
No, that was the next one. No.
So the first time you saw was with friends in Westwood.
Right, exactly. Because I saw a lot of the production stills. They had sent me a video, you know, and then when we're doing ADR, we get to see a lot of things too.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That, I mean, maybe that could mean more if you get to see it with like friends and family, but like we always think, you know, obviously going to see it with the people who were involved, you know, that also is a great experience too, and having that premiere. But
it did. I mean, at the time, it made I think $16 million opening weekend, which during that time, that was a lot of money.
Yeah. It's a lot of money now.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, now, yeah.
Well, and then we read that the filmmakers weren't so pleased with the marketing for the film and the classic shish kebab poster. I'm sure you're familiar with.
John will never eat shish kebab again. I think
and I don't think that that character's not in the film.
Yeah, there was a murder with a shish kebab.
There's a murder with a shish kebab, but the guy in the poster's not in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was Matt Craven. Matt Craven had that.
Yeah. So, but apparently, yeah. What did you think of all the advertising? Like, did you like that poster and the way that they were advertising the film?
I mean, I hate to be the Debbie Downer of your horror set, but because I'm so not a fan of horror movies, I was like, oh, whatever that is.
That is too fun. I mean, to be honest, though, it's one of the most memorable horror posters I think out there. Like, and I'm not, and you know, we're not just saying that. We've seen a ton of horror posters, but it's just that image that you, again, like I said, you just can't get out of your head. You know,
I have the poster framed.
You do? I used to have it framed too.
Oh,
such a great experience.
Yeah, I have to ask, this is not on our notes. Do you think horror fans or soap fans, which do you prefer?
You know, I think they both are amazing because they are both the reason we get to do what we love to do. Mm-hmm. If it weren't for horror fans, there wouldn't be all these movies. If it weren't for soap fans, we wouldn't still be on the air.
Mm-hmm. So I'm a fan of both.
Yeah, I am not as much of a soap fan, but like I get the no, but I get how, well, first off, like horror movies have soap opera types of activities in it. Like you were saying, like how many soap operas take their characters through these horrific storylines?
True. I mean, well, on Days of Our Lives, they've done the Marlena being possessed by the devil. That ranges on that. But on our show, after that one Buried Alive story, I don't think we've really kind of done too much of that. Maybe a little, but it's more family based.
Yeah, Young and the Restless is definitely, especially The Bold and Beautiful, like it takes place in Los Angeles, which is obviously real. Like, I mean, it's more grounded.
Right.
Yeah. So, you know, obviously you've had quite an extensive career since this film. So we know, you know, this movie probably isn't always top of mind for you, but do you look back on kind of, you know, starting your film career in horror with pride? And are you aware of kind of the legacy that films like Happy Birthday to Me still have today?
Well, it makes me so happy that people still watch it, still want to talk about it. It was such an incredible time because not only was I doing a horror film, but I was working with such incredible people. To have been able to experience being directed by J. Lee Thompson was such an honor. You know, there were so many wonderful elements of doing that. And even though I had been working for 2.5 years in daytime, it didn't come close to understanding what it was like to work on a film.
Mm-hmm. And were you, I mean, we're actually shocked that Happy Birthday to Me has not been rebooted or remade. And have you heard about any possible remakes or anything?
No, none of them.
Yeah. Wow. It's funny because, as you know, like in horror, it's very popular, not just to do sequels, but to do remakes of especially movies from that time. So we're just wondering, hypothetical, even though the character of Anne is dead, if they decided to do the remake, would you ever consider doing a cameo?
Sure.
Oh, I love that.
We just think it's the kind of movie that's so ripe for a remake because, number one, it has tons of effects that I'm sure, there's been 40 years since then that I'm sure they could do different effects with. And, everyone loves a whodunit thing. Who knows how they could change things up and stuff. So it just seems like the type of movie that is just waiting for a reboot. So if anyone listening out there.
Yeah, and that classic scene where all the dead bodies are there. Other films have copied that, but I still feel like it's done the best. And there's not a birthday that goes by that I don't think about myself. Just kidding.
So funny.
Yeah. And I also think that, there's classic reveals in horror movies, but I haven't seen many where the person is wearing a mask of their friend,
In latex. When did you have the time? When did you have the time to make it?
Yeah.
Exactly. When did she have the time? She must have been wait for a long time.
Right?
Oh, she had quite a grudge against Ginny to do that.
And have your kids or your Y&R co-stars, have they seen Happy Birthday to Me?
I don't think anyone has. I'm trying to think. I think my kids, I think my younger son watched portions of it because on YouTube you can just watch my scenes. And I think he's watched some of them.
It's actually showing, I think, that the new Beverly. Yeah. So if you want to go, wait, you're in Nashville. Never mind.
Horror fans go nuts about people, showing up at screenings like that. But, on a completely other random note, just a random fact we read about you that we wanted to ask is that, so we read that you were inducted into the Ride of Fame in 2014 and have like a New York City double-decker bus either like dedicated to you or your accomplishments.
I'm wearing lingerie and boots on the front of a New York City bus.
Wow. So that's amazing. How did that happen? That whole thing?
They came to me and said, we're to promote tourism. We're dedicating buses to certain people in the entertainment industry, and we'd like to do one for you. I mean, how do you say no to a bus?
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. And the bus still goes around. How long? Well, that was 2014, so 8 years ago. And that bus is still riding around today?
I assume. You never know.
That is so funny. We did it. There was a couple horror connections we also found to you in Happy Birthday Me. Do you know?
Did you let Melissa Sue Anderson? She was also in a movie the same year. Do you remember the title?
It was a TV horror movie
where she had telekinesis. Do you remember the movie Midnight Offerings?
No, I do not.
I was figuring.
Don't know at all.
Yeah, well, then we got to give you one more connection. We love horror connection because everyone is related to that. One more is that your Young and the Restless co-star Eileen Davidson was in a 1982 slasher film by the name of The House on Sorority Row.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
But
I'm guessing you haven't seen it.
No, haven't.
Tracey, if we ever get the pleasure of meeting you in person, we will pick out some tame horror movies to kind of ease you into it. Okay.
So, I need like Disney movies.
Oh, okay. So she needs Hocus Pocus.
Right. Exactly. Or I watch The Crown. That's as much as,
Oh, wait. I know that you are a fan of The Real Housewives and your favorite is New York. Is that right?
I have loved watching New York.
Just out of curiosity, who's your favorite?
Well, it's like watching a traffic accident.
Oh yeah.
It's all bad, but you can't stop watching.
Yeah.
And they're all so much fun. I mean, would I want to have lunch with them? Absolutely. I would love to have lunch with all of them.
Luann, Ramona.
Absolutely. All of them.
Okay, but here's the question. If one of them were to create a latex mask and kill all of the others, which one would you think it would be?
Dorinda.
Oh, that's true. She's scary, but I love her. But if Beverly Hills came knocking on your door, would you do it?
No. You know what? I honestly don't have the fortitude. I don't think I'm strong enough to go up against that kind of conflict constantly. I'm not good that way.
And do you only watch New York?
No, I watch Beverly Hills because I started when Eileen was on it. So I started to watch for her. And then I watched them.
Well,
I
fellow
love that.
Beverly Hills housewife Kyle Richards will be in Halloween Ends.
She's not going to see it.
I won't be seeing it.
Oh, well, Tracey, we have one final question for you, and you've been incredible. We've had so much fun chatting with you, and we asked this to everyone that we interview, and you've already given us like a few little tidbits that kind of would fall under this character category. But what is one thing you can tell us about your experience working on Happy Birthday to Me that you've never told any other interviewer, publication, podcast, or anyone who's asked? Just one thing about that experience that you've never told before in an interview.
I had a wild affair with one of the crew members who was French.
Wow. Je m'appelle Tim.
I do remember his name, but I can't tell it.
Oh,
that's a good one.
That is a great. We've gotten some juicy tidbits, but that is juicy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, we will not ask the name, but like, was this like a one-time thing or like lasting through production?
It lasted for a little bit, but then it got very soap opera at the end. It was very funny.
I love that. You made my day.
That is a great one. That is a great one. Wow. Well, look, again, we just want to thank you so much because, again, like we know that this is from the very beginning of your career, but we are so honored to be able to speak with you about a movie we love and a movie that we've always found pretty iconic and memorable in the horror genre. So just getting the chance to speak with you, this has been we're really grateful.
Thank you so much. I had such a great time. And thank you for loving the movie.
Of course. And I love you on YNR, but I don't even know if I should say this. I'm a Bold and the Beautiful watcher, but of course you've been on the Bold and the Beautiful, so I love it.
You're so sweet. Well, you never know when I might pop up.
That's true. You've been back and forth.
And let's just hope they don't bury you alive again.
Oh, please, God, no.
Oh, and shout out to our mutual friend, Gregory.
Yes.
Darian.
He's the best.
Okay, we will definitely be in touch. Thank you so much. You've been amazing.
Yes.
Okay. Bye,
Have
guys.
fun in Nashville.
Bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Happy Horror Time.
This podcast is hosted by Tim Murdoch and myself, Matt Emmert. It's co-produced by Jacob Randall.
We release new episodes every Monday, and we switch off between reviewing new horror films with spoilers and interviewing horror stars. So there's something for everyone.
You can listen to the podcast directly from our website. That's www.happyhorrortime.com, or from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever you stream podcasts. And if you'd like to support us, please sign up to be a patron at www.patreon.com/happyhorrortime. Patrons get access to our monthly bonus episodes where we discuss past horror films according to a theme. They get to vote on those themes. They get our monthly newsletter, The Happy Horror Times, and autographed Happy Horror Time stickers.
If you haven't already, make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter at Happy Horror Time.
And since our movie reviews do contain spoilers, we always post the films we're going to review a few days in advance on our social pages, just in case you want to watch them beforehand and be in the know with us.
And finally, if you'd like to contact us directly, send an email to happyhorrortime@gmail.com. We especially love it when you tell us how sexy we are.
I'm Matt Emmert.
And I'm Tim Murdoch.
And we hope you have a happy horror time.